Hello everyone and welcome back to Is It Worth It, the series where we take a look at used gaming and tech products to find out if they're worth it. And for the first time ever, we're doing a slightly longer episode today. I just wanted to get a bunch of these out because I like making these. This is a post on Facebook Marketplace, simply titled Brand New Cell Phone. Yeah, spoiler alert, this is not actually an iPhone. The XS18 Pro. I don't know anything about that. Let me go take a quick look. Okay, so I did some research, and to my surprise, I was actually able to find this exact model on Amazon. Typically, this is something you might see confined to the depths of Wish or Temu, but it's just going on Amazon. However, the first red flag about this listing, outside of just the nature of the product itself, is the price. Here on Facebook Marketplace, it's going for $100. On Amazon right now, brand new, it is $85. And then we have the phone itself. Obviously, for this price, you're going to get a very basic entry-level phone. But you can get better phones for just basic entry-level stuff if you really need a smartphone or a backup phone at places like Walmart for $50. The processor that this phone uses is 1.3 gigahertz. To compare that to an iPhone model, we're looking at the iPhone 5S from 2013. This is an interesting novelty product for sure. I'd say if it was $15, maybe I'd be interested. Do not buy something like this for any price as a legitimate phone. And the fact that they're trying to sell this for more than it's going for brand new sealed inbox on Amazon is a massive red flag. Speaking of bizarre products that are somehow official things you can buy, this PlayStation 2 SpongeBob controller for $10. Now, okay, first things first, this is super freaking cursed. Overall, special edition game controllers aren't really a big thing anymore outside of some special unique printing. Sure, occasionally you'll get weird promotional stuff like the furry controllers that were released for Xbox to tie in with the Sonic movie a couple years back, but overall, you're not going to see stuff like this anymore, and that's for good reason. Now look, I was never a SpongeBob fan. Even as a kid, I found the show to be just kind of annoying and dumb, I don't know, but man, this thing is cursed, and it just doesn't look comfortable to hold. However, I can absolutely see there being a collector's market for things like this, and there probably is, at least for nostalgia reasons. So if you really want this, and you have a PS2 that you actively use, $10 isn't a terrible price. You know how I just mentioned the Sonic controllers that were released with the special edition Xbox Series S for the movie a couple years ago? Well, this is not the special edition one, but it is an Xbox Series S, going for $170. Now, personally, I am not a digital console person. I think it's dumb. I want to be able to walk into a game store, pick up a disc for $5, and play it. I don't really like digital consoles. The day that consoles go all digital, no disc whatsoever, I'm gonna switch to PC. However, if you want a cheaper way to play current Xbox games, and you don't care about discs or the fact that this thing is way less powerful than a Series X, this is not a bad deal. If you're in the market for a Series S, yeah, it's a little bit beat up, but according to the description, it works perfectly fine. Sure, it's not a full terabyte of internal space, but if you're just someone who wants to play a couple newer games, this is a good device to do it on, I will say. Here's a pretty interesting and weird listing. This one is just called Smartwatch, $20. And I do appreciate right out the gate that the poster did not call this an Apple Watch, because while it looks like one to the casual observer and might even pass as one at a glance, as far as I can tell, it isn't. The only identification on it I could find is in the second photo, and we have this. I ran this ID number through a couple things online, and I couldn't find a whole ton of information about it. However, likely what this is a model of smartwatch by some company called Shenzhen Do. I hope I'm pronouncing that right, I'm probably not. Now, as for which specific model this is, as far as I can find, I'm not 100% sure on this. This does appear to be something called the Shenzhen Do GT01, which brand new inbox online retails for around $40. Now, as far as knockoff smartwatches go, I'm not typically an advocate for them. I used to own a terrible Chinese knockoff Apple Watch I bought on Wish for like $5 back in the day, and it was fun to laugh at, but it was a pretty terrible watch, and I cannot see this being much different. if you're getting into smartwatches for fitness or any other reason, get a couple-year-old Apple Watch or Fitbit for $60 to $100 instead of buying one of these. Next up, we have this listing, $130 for a pre-owned Apple iPod. And that's already a bit steep, especially for an older iPod in this condition. And then you see the back of it. What the f*** happened here? What in the world is the owner smoking to try to sell this for $130? We don't even have clarification that this thing works or turns on, and judging by the back, there's a decent chance it doesn't. Oh my goodness, $130. This is someone who I think is just putting this up online to see if they can get some idiot to purchase this. No one in their right mind would drop even $20 on this, let alone $130. However, if you want an actually good listing, look no further than this. $30 for two Xbox Series X controllers, brand new, sealed in box, never used. Not $30 each, $30 for both. Independently, these go from between $60 to $70 in this sealed in box state, depending where you look, since these are the current, newest iteration of Xbox controllers. This is just a really solid good deal, and after some of the stuff we looked at on this episode, it's very refreshing to see. And now we're back to the people smoking crack again. This is a $10 listing, and you might think $10 for a MacBook Pro, that is suspiciously good. Especially for one of the ones that's not even that old. And you'd be correct, because this is not a MacBook Pro. They want $10 for the box. What in the world? Not even like the charger in the box. Just the box. Are you serious? I don't even think I have to really say much else about this. This is an absolute scam. Hey, here's an actual MacBook Pro listing. By looking at this, this seems to be a 2016 or 2017 MacBook Pro, so it's pretty old and there is some damage on it for sure. However, in the description, the poster has said that it doesn't affect performance, and for $100, this is pretty good if you just need a laptop for schoolwork, or for doing your office work on the go, and you don't want to buy something like a Chromebook. This is going to be better than a Chromebook, and there's maybe some other stuff you can do with it on top of it. Good for light work, and a solid deal overall. Here's a pretty solid deal, a PlayStation Vita with some games for just $150. This is really solid. I personally really like the PlayStation Vita from what I've used of it. Yeah, sure, it's a little bit old now, it's not going to be getting current games anytime soon, but it's pretty fun to play on. I'd never owned one, but I have borrowed ones that my friends have had, and I really enjoy it. And we have some pretty decent quality games here, especially Rayman Origins, that's a fun one. I've never played the portable version of Assassin's Creed 3 Liberation, but I assume it's pretty decent. And I can't really speak to the quality of either of those, or this Mortal Kombat port for Vita. But overall, this is a pretty solid deal, as it looks like if you gave it a good dust down, it would be in near perfect condition. Speaking of Macs, here's another one, a 2013 Apple iMac for $60. Comes with the keyboard and mouse shown here, and I'm not quite sure if this is an i5 or an i7. Now, in terms of details, this can be updated as far as 2022, when Apple finally designated it as obsolete. It's not going to be super powerful, and you're not going to be running many modern, powerful programs on here. Don't expect to be opening After Effects, Photoshop, or, I don't know, any kind of Wii or GameCube emulation. However, if you just want to do basic work with stuff like Docs or PowerPoint, or if you want something for, I don't know, education, or to use as a secondary screen or a server, this is a pretty good deal at $60. Hey, remember that terrible cracked-in iPod that we looked at earlier for over $100? If you do want to get an older generation iPod for some nostalgia, here's a much better option. For $60, you can get this iPod. It's fully functional, doesn't have a whole bunch of awful scratches and marks on the back, and looks to be in pretty good condition. Sure, like I said, there are some scratches here, it's not perfect condition, that's what you're going to get with these metal back iPods from back in the day. But hey, if you want a dose of nostalgia, this is a much better price point. Speaking of 2000s throwback tech, here we have a T-Mobile BlackBerry for $50. Man, does this thing take me back. And look, it's kind of cool to see one of these around in this day and age, but the fact of the matter is this is not a very good deal. This, from what I could find, because I didn't really give any information here on the model, I had to do my own research on that, looks to be from 2007, and most modern carriers won't support this. T-Mobile shut down the network that this thing used back in 2022, and it's not gonna have much use. Unless you're really into collecting these kinds of things, well, it's interesting, it's not a particularly good deal. Here's another Mac. For $75, it's an older MacBook Pro, and oh my goodness, is that OS X Snow Leopard? No, wait, it's 10.8.5. That would be Mountain Lion, right? I'm pretty sure that's Mountain Lion. Anyway, it's not exactly what you would call current. Yeah, these are pretty old. 2.5 gigahertz Intel Core i5. You're not really doing much with that in this day and age. Unlike the Mac desktop iMac that we took a look at a couple listings ago, I would not recommend you pick this up. I have a slightly better version of this era MacBook Pro as my backup computer, and even that one is still starting to struggle with loading basic web pages. Even for light work, you could do better out there than this. And finally, last but not least, we have a MacBook Air, one of the older models, and oh my goodness, it's from 2015. Hey, my mom has this computer. Yeah, this is one that would be better for light work. While I wouldn't pay $120 for this, if you really want a Mac, if you're that level of Mac purist but need some kind of computer for on-the-go light work, maybe try to haggle down the price on a listing like this by a little bit. Assuming that the battery isn't completely shot, this is not a terrible thing if you just want to do Microsoft Word, Google Docs, PowerPoint, Pages, that sort of stuff on the go. Not a terrible listing, although I would say maybe worth it. Just try to talk the price down a little bit.